Hello friends and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Mandy and I like to talk about makeup panning, nail polish, and things happening in my real life. Today I have my update for the Enjoy Your Eyeshadows project, so stay tuned. Alright, this is Enjoy Your Eyeshadows, or Eyes 2024. It is hashtag EYES2024. It was created by Deb B here on YouTube, and it is all about enjoying and using your eyeshadows in any way you see fit. There are no rules, just guidelines. Use your eyeshadows. And she wants you to tell everybody your peak and your pit each month of the eyeshadows that you used. I am working on mine in a no pan left behind style, working through all of my palettes, hopefully, focusing on a couple palettes each month to use in a no pan left behind style. So in January, my focus palettes, I had 3 focus palettes, I believe, and 2 extras, or 1 extra. Anyway, so my focus palettes were the Winky Luxe Latte Kitten palette, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette, and the Jeffree Star Jawbreaker, or as I call it, the Pink Heart palette. Those were my 3 focus palettes, and in addition, I had an additional palette of the BH Cosmetics Marvycorn. So over the last month, I have created 9 looks. Yes, not including today. Today would make look number 10. And using these palettes and some additional shades thrown in here and there. My nose is running. All right, so the first on January 10th, and I will try and put in pictures. Let me scoot this way to put pictures of the looks in as I talk about them. So on January 10th, I worked on the Winky Luxe palette, which it's right in front of me. Oh my goodness. Okay, the Winky Luxe Latte Kitten palette. This is a very neutral palette with a slight coffee scent that I received from Ipsy. Yes, I received this through Ipsy. So on January 10th, that was the day before my birthday. On January 10th, I used the shade Creme Brulee as my transition, which is this one. Not Creme Brulee, but Brulee. I used this in my transition with Nutmeg. I can't read these, they're up close. Okay, Nutmeg. So in my transition and the Nutmeg in my crease, I used Honey Lavender on my inner half of my lid, which is this one here in the middle, and Hibiscus on the outer half of my lid, which is this one down here. And then in my inner corner, I used Sugar Crystal, which is this one here. So basically, I kind of did a diagonal this way and up and down here. So I will swatch the shimmers for you. They're kind of satiny. So the first one on top here, that is the Hibiscus. Then in the middle, which is almost disappearing, is Honey Lavender. And then this shimmery one on the bottom, that is Sugar Crystal. And I had Hibiscus on my bottom lash lid as well. I didn't always put what I put on my bottom lashes because it's usually the same thing I have on my top. And that worked okay. On the 15th, I focused on the Riviera palette. I tried each look to focus on a particular palette and then bring in additional colors as needed from other palettes. So on the 15th, I focused on the Riviera palette, and I used the shade, I'm trying to do this so you can see both my picture and the palette. And I'm left-handed, so I prefer to do it this way. Okay, I used, on my transition, I used Cabana, which is this yellowy shade here. On my base lid base color. I like to put down my transition, and then I put down a base color on the lid, and then I put a glitter glue and shimmers on top of that, in case you're wondering how I do my looks. So I started with Cabana in my transition. Then on the base for the lid, I had Monte Carlo, which is this sort of dusty pink. And in the outer corner, I put this dark brown called Palm, as well as a little bit in my crease and along my bottom lash line. And then for the shimmers, I used Yacht in the outer corner or inner half of my lid, and then Palermo on the outer half of my lid with Sails, the white here, and a highlighter shade from my BH Cosmetics called Live into Life on my inner corner. I do not have a picture of this one apparently. So that's the look I did. And I'll give you a swatch of Yacht and Palermo. So that is, Yacht is sort of an antique-y bronzy gold, and that's Palermo, an orangey pink. And then, yes, and that's all for that day. The next day, I focused on the Pink Star palette. And for that, I do have a picture I will put up for you. Find all these. So I started with Good Morning, this light pink, in my transition, mixed with a little bit of bubblegum, this hot pink next to it. And then on my lid, I put Cherry Wet, which is this dark reddish pink, and Raspberry, which is this dark purple pink, or purpley red, on the outer corner of my lid. So those two on my lid is a very red look I was going for. And then I put Delicious, which is this dark blue, in to darken up the outer corner and my crease. And then for the lid shimmer, I used Say and What, which is, I don't know, this one, this red and What for my shimmer. And I guess I just put that one all over. Oh no, I brought in something from another palette that I didn't grab, so let me get that. But I had And What as my shimmer, and then the inner corner is the shade Jawbreaker. And then for the rest of my shimmers, I brought in my Galaxy Chic palette. Okay, and I brought in, for my Galaxy Chic palette, words are hard sometimes, I brought in this dark red Aphrodite to darken up the lid, and for the outer corner I mixed Neptune, this dark blue, and I just lost my notes, Pluto, which is this dark gray. So I will give you swatches of those. That is terribly out of order. So from the Galaxy Chic, we have these three shades here. This one is Neptune, sort of a dark blue. Then we have, that is Aphrodite. There we go. There's Aphrodite, and then the bottom one is Pluto, which is a dark gray. And then from the Pink Star palette, we had so many. I get better at writing these down, so it's easier for me to figure it out. And What, and I'll do Jawbreaker. So, and what is this pinky red? And then the Jawbreaker is this shade here, which is sort of a light white gold. It looks white in the palette, but it is very light, a very light gold. All right, and that is that look. All right, for my next look, I should probably bring up the pictures. Okay, sorry if the lighting changed. I pulled up the pictures so I could see what I'm talking about. So next one was on the 25th. And for that one, I did this purple look. And I started with Gumdrop from the Pink Star palette as my transition shade. And Gumdrop is... What one is Gumdrop? Hello? Oh, there it is. Whoa! I was looking for pink for some reason. Gumdrop is my transition shade for this. And then my base color... Oh, I went all over the place for this one. Okay. Okay, I think that's the only color from this palette. And then for my lid, I brought out my Sapphire for September palette. And I have the base color is this blue here, Sympathetic. And on the, I don't know, inner corner. And then from the Riviera palette, I have this purple Cons as my outer corner. And then for my lid shimmer, whew, all over the place with this look. Okay, the lid shimmer, I have Sapphire from the BH Cosmetics, which is this one here. And I will give you a swatch of that. Is that one there. And that was on the inner corner. On the outer corner, I have one from my Marvycorn palette. I used the shade Bahamas, which is this one right here, in the outer corner. And the first one was a bluey purple. This is a pinky purple. And then I topped it all with Sporty from, that is this one here, from the Sapphire palette. And that is Sporty right there. It's a nice topper. Sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks purple. And then I have Living the Life in my inner corner. And yes, that's it. I talked about the liner, but that was Breakdown, which is black from the Marvycorn. Okay, and then on the 28th, I did another look using the Winky Luxe palette. And I started my transition this time with Brulee, which was this one here, and Hibiscus, which is this brown here, darkening up the outer corner. For my lid base shade, I used Cinnamon, which is the orangey one here, and darkened that up with shade from Natasha Denona that I use in my brows, which is a dark brown. Then for the lid shimmer, I used Hazelnut, which is this reddish one here, and Chai, which is this yellowy one here. And I'll give you swatches of those. So this coppery one is Hazelnut. That is in the outer corner of my shimmer lid. And then Chai, which is this gold shade, is on the inner portion of my lid. And my inner corner is a gold from Medusa's makeup called Woke, and then I tapped a little bit of that on the center of my lid. Okay, for the next look on January 30th, I did sort of a blue and silver look, and I started with my Riviera palette with transition shade using Estate, which is this skin tone color for my transition, and then on the lid I have Bahamas, which is the hot. Nope, that's not the right look. Sorry, I started with oh goodness. Okay, I started with Estate, and then I put on a couple from my Pink Star palette. For my Pink Star palette, I used Cute, which is this light tealy color, mint, and Soaked, which is this dark blue. So this was on the inner half of my lid, and this was on the outer corner of my lid. And then for the shimmers, I went back to the Riviera. I probably went to the Pink Star because there are no blue shimmers in here, but there are blue, there are no blue mattes, blue or green mattes, but there are blue and green shimmers. And so for the shimmers, I used Seychelles, which is this tealy blue, and for the outer corner, and then the inner corner is Seaside, which is this pewter shade. Those two there. And then I used the Jawbreaker, the light gold from the Pink Star palette for my inner corner. Okay. Okay, the next look on February 1st is a pink and gold look. I started with my transition. I started with Estate, which is this one I did here, this skin tone. And then for my lid, I used Bahamas, which is the pink here, hot pink, mixed a little bit with Monte Carlo and Palm to darken up the outer corner. And then for the shimmer, I put Inheritance, which is this gold, bright yellow gold, and I put that in the center of the lid, and then Live into Life from my Marvycorn on the inner corner. And I will give you a swatch of Living the Life because I keep talking about it and I haven't swatched it for you. So there is Inheritance, whoop, and then Living the Life. That's very, very near my skin tone. It leaves a nice shimmer. Okay, and then on the 7th, I started my look with the transition shade from the Pink Star palette with the shade here, Cone, just sort of a light orangey cream color. And then on my lid, I started with the shade Cute, this teal again, and I lost my place. And then on my inner corner, I used Jawbreaker. And then for the rest of my look, I went to my Marvycorn, and along with the green on the inner half of my lid, on the outer half, I used Savage, which is this brown to darken up the corner. And then for the shimmer, I used Moana all over the lid, apparently. And I will give you a swatch of Moana. And that is Moana, which is very similar to the shade up here from the Riviera palette. a little greener though. Okay, and then on I just talked about that one. Okay, the next look was, okay, and the last look was on February 8th, which was my last video, and I started with the Pink Star palette, because doing No Pan Left Behind, there are a lot of shades in here I haven't got to yet. I started with, for the transition, a combination of Virgin, which is this white and cute, the teal color down below. And then on my lid, I put down this green Sour and darkened out the outer corner with a touch of Delicious, which is this dark blue. And then for this shimmer, oh, and then I used Jawbreaker on the inner corner. And then for shimmer all over the lid, I used my Lunar Beauty single. This one right here, which is sort of this murky green. I keep saying it's green, but every time I swatch it, it looks more bronze. But I think there is some green to it. So that's why I paired it with the greens. And unfortunately, I got some creasing in there. I don't know if it's because this formula is quite creamy. But when I put it on my lids, even with the glitter glue, it seemed to separate. Got some creasing on my lids, and it became very glittery. Whereas when I swatch it, it seems pretty creamy, so it might just be the way the formula works. And then finally, today's look, we have from the Jawbreaker. And I started my look today, the transition, with Good Morning, the light pink. And then on my lid, in the inner half, I have Bubblegum. And in the outer corner, outer half, I have Gumdrop. And then I topped those with the inner half is Cotton Candy, this pink, and Bite Me, which is this dark purple. And then along my lower lash line, I have this orange called Suck, mixed a little bit with Cotton Candy on my lower lash line. And for my inner corner, I have my Live into Life from the Marvycorn. So that was a long-winded, and to get down to points, so some of these palettes had uses before bringing in this project, but I did use all the shades in the Winky Luxe palette, and I've decided to declutter this. These brown neutral palettes are just not my cup of tea. So this is something I don't need in my collection. I do have neutrals, and I'll be bringing some in, and I have some in other palettes like the Riviera that if I want a neutral I can reach for, but I don't need a whole palette of these brown neutral shades because it's not what I reach for. And then I met all my goals. I used each shade in the Riviera palette at least once. Some of them like Estate and I think Cabana and even Coastline. I used all those as transition shades and or lid setting shades, and they worked fine. And I used them multiple times as well as I think sales. But I used all the shades in here. I do enjoy this palette and I look forward to using it more. And if you're wondering, I just put a post-it note, and then each time I used it, or when I used it, a shade, I put an X through it. I think going forward, I will tally each one to see which shades I reach for more often. And then from the Jawbreaker, today's look completed all the shades, not necessarily in this palette, in this month, but I have used every shade in this palette at least once, and I do enjoy it. It is quite colorful. It does have some neutrals in there if I need them, like Cone, and this one here, Tasty, and even Snack is pretty neutral, as well as the white and the pink. So I do enjoy this palette, and I will be keeping it. So 2 palettes I am keeping, 1 I'm decluttering, and then the Marvycorn I'm still working on. It has neutrals in it. if I need a pop of neutral, and it also has colors. Yep, I'm working to hit pan on this shade right here in another project. I think that's in Deck of Panning. So looking forward to getting some more use on that. It has a nice dip in it, but no pan yet. So we'll keep working on that. So those are the palettes I focused on this month. Give me a second to pull the palettes I'm going to be working on for the next month. Okay, for the next month, I'm going to continue using the two shades in the Marvycorn. Bahamas here and Moana here, because they are both in other projects for usage, or to hit pan in Bahamas. And then I am going to work on the Sapphire for September. I'm working on, I believe they're both in Deck of Panning. Maybe, don't quote me on that. This shade here, Sympathetic, and Sapphire. Nope, Sapphire and Sporty. All three of those shades are in projects. So I'm going to work on those shades. And then for No Pan Left Behind, I am bringing in the Trendy in Tokyo from BH Cosmetics. It is a rainbow palette here. I already have a post-it note. Like I said, I'm going to tally, sorry, out of breath because I just went and got my laundry. So I'm going to put a tally for each time I use a shade. So I might end up discovering I use this light pink a lot, or maybe I use one of the yellows a lot. And there are shimmers in here, but they're sort of more satiny shimmers. So I might pull in colors from other palettes or more impact if I need it. But yeah, I'm going to continue working on these. I never realized there are 4 pinks until just now. So yeah, going to bring this in for No Pan Left Behind. And then along with that, I'm also bringing in the Lost in Los Angeles. I have not touched any of the shades in here. I haven't even swatched them. This is a brand new palette to me, virgin colors, everything. I'm looking forward to playing with this and seeing which colors I am drawn to in this palette. And then I decided to bring in some singles. If you watched my inventory over the last year, I received a large number of Natasha Denona eyeshadows that are all been depotted into a single palette. So I have this little magnetic palette that I have my Lunar Beauty in, and this is my Natasha Denona eyebrow shade. So I brought in 3 of the larger shadows to go with it. I just randomly picked 3. I have this light yellow shimmer, sort of a satiny shimmer. There is a swatch of it there. Make a nice highlight. And then I brought in this light lavender and this sort of taupey matte shade. And there is a swatch of that. It kind of pulls brown on me. It is a cool brown. So brought those 3 in to get some use on those, and I'll probably use those 3 times each. We'll make that the goal for those. And that is what I'm going to be working on for the next month. Again, I will do like I have done, and like I said, I've gotten better at making my notes of what I used where. Let me know if you want to know what eyeliners I put with the looks. I'm happy to include that today. I'm wearing the LA Colors Shockwave in Sequins, which is a purple eyeliner. Yeah, so over the last month, my peaks, my pit was the Winky Luxe palette because I don't need any neutrals. And I think my peak would probably be the Riviera. It has very rich formula and rich colors. I also enjoyed the Pink Star palette quite a bit because it had a wide variety of colors to choose from, although they weren't always very coherent. Yeah, so that is it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would very much appreciate it. And until my next video, take care of yourselves, stay true to you, and hopefully I'll see you, or you'll see me, in my next video. Bye!